Don't be an anonymous investor. Join the stock market social media platform public.com. Invest any amount of money and share with friends and new friends. Discover new opportunities such as new companies and potential business partners and useful tools for beginners, and share your experience with friends on public.com. Link in the video description gets you $5 for being a Grid Network viewer. Use the referral code GridNet for your free $5 to invest and start investing and networking on public.com.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Grid Live Encore. I'm Ben Schneider alongside Brandon Crossland, Joshua Burch, who I think his camera has gone out here. Hopefully, we'll.
It's the black void.
I can hear you. Can you all hear me?
We can hear you. We just can't see you.
The lights are out in England, folks.
That's probably the best thing. I'm usually. Can you see me now?
Cannot.
Oh, well, that's okay. My mummy is always saying I have a face for radio. So I'll see what's happening with that.
We'll make it work. The good news is we can hear you, so we'll roll with that for now. And Casey Campbell, of course, joining us as well. Gentlemen, just real quick, I know I didn't really have this in the script here, but I'm just now realizing none of you were on the wrap-up show last night. Describe the Texas Cup race in 5 words or less. Brandon, we'll start with you.
Wow, on the spot. That's great. Okay, the Texas Cup race in 5 words or less. I can do one. Attrition.
Oh.
That is all.
Casey, how about you?
What did I just watch?
I think that's a very good one. Josh, I know it was obviously very late over for you in the UK. Did you get a chance to catch any of the Cup race?
I did. Surprisingly, it was on free-to-air television here in the UK. And I watched it, and I then had to go to bed. So I watched the end of it this morning, and all I can say is, what a load of rubbish that was. 5 words for you.
Well, if we stop it at rubbish, I think we get 5.
Load 5. Yeah, okay. No. What a load of rubbish. Is that 5? Let's take off that was.
There you go.
Right, there we go.
Yeah.
That'll do. Right, I'll fix my camera and then come back in. But yeah, honestly, what an absolute. Just.
Hey, let me ask
they
you.
They were blind.
How many super license points did you get for winning?
There it is. Yeah. Tyler Reddick is loaded up.
Oh,
he certainly is. Yeah, because that was the Xfinity race that he won earlier this year, right? Was that in the big machine car? Was that at Texas as well?
Yeah, that is exactly one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be worth at least 50 super license points, right? He's going to be set.
And the 2 road course wins too. So
yeah, absolutely
for sure. Hey, by the way, if you want to get this shirt, go on to busbros.com. They are selling them. It's well worth it.
Shameless plug.
Yep. Can you see me?
Hey, there he is.
Oh, hi, Josh.
It's well now. So.
Yay.
All right. Well, guys, speaking of Texas Motor Speedway here, I want to talk briefly as we open the show about somebody who was a legend at Texas Motor Speedway on the NASCAR side of things. Jimmie Johson put out a release earlier this morning that he is stepping away from full-time competition. He does have a bucket list of big races that he wants to do next year, and of course, details for that will be announced at a later date. But Brandon, I guess we'll start with you. What's your reaction to Jimmie stepping away from the full-time schedule in the IndyCar Series at the end of this year? And I say at the end of this year, of course, IndyCar's already wrapped up their season.
Yeah, it's sad at first, but then you take everything into account what's happened this year, and it's understandable that the decision has been made to step away from Chip Ganassi in a full-time stance. I think that's a very wise thing for Jimmie Johson to do. Another group chat I'm a part of, they said, well, there's going to be no more Jimmie cautions in the year in IndyCar. So I guess that's one thing we'll be without. But really, it was nice to see him take this full leap after retiring from the Cup Series to go to the IndyCar Series and prove that he can, in fact, do almost an entirely different discipline of motorsport. And it really just shows the sheer talent that Jimmie Johnson has as not only a 7-time NASCAR Cup Series champion, but just a world more of experience behind the wheel. But yeah, the time has come for him to step away. It was a good run, good experiment, but glad to see that he's not completely gone. I know Indy 500 is in the picture, but really want to see him come back to the Daytona 500 or just explore, go do something else. I mean, this is not retirement. It never really was. So keep expanding, keep exploring your roots and see what else he can do. Looking forward to see what JJ does as those gray hairs start to form. I think he's going to still have a lot of fun.
Josh, of course, NASCAR is biggest here in the United States. You're over in the UK, but of course, even people over there like yourself know the name Jimmie Johnson and knew it before he even joined the IndyCar Series and know him as a great champion in the world of motorsports. What will you remember most about Jimmie and his career?
I think as well, there's been 2 different careers for him, hasn't it? As we've just been hearing from Brandon as well. It's the IndyCar career as well, when he hasn't been as successful. But everybody here in Europe as well knows and respects him as well for being the titan of a NASCAR championship crusade he did as well. And he was a feared racer in NASCAR as well. He was aggressive but fair as well. Many people over here in Europe as well akin him to Schumacher's type of racing and Senna as well. He had such a talent as well behind the wheel of a NASCAR. I know there's talk of him coming back to NASCAR as well, because I was reading here as well from the ESPN article as well. They've been saying as well that he's wanting to do the double. So do the Indy 500 and then fly over to Charlotte and do the Coca-Cola 600 on the same day. So that's a possibility. I'm going to love for that as well. Kurt Busch was the last one to do it. And we talked about the double on this show a couple of months back. So I'm liking the idea that he could do it. I know why he stepped away from full-time racing from IndyCar as well. There was a lot of yellows caused by him in the past 2 seasons, but let's not forget he finished in the top 6 at Texas. He led the Indy 500. He was running 3rd as well, then a red flag and then retirement in the last couple of laps as well put a stop to that. But I think he could have won a race in IndyCar as well, and I was disappointed to see he didn't, maybe because the lack of ovals we've now got at IndyCar didn't really give him that much chance to shine, because even in NASCAR days he only ever won 1 race on a road course. So he was great at ovals, and I'm a bit disappointed to see he's not going to be back. But I do know there's been talk that he wants to do Le Mans with the Project 56, doing the double as well. So he's not done yet. We're still going to see him around, but it's a retirement from full-time racing as well. But he's a bit like all of us as well. When we say, "Oh, we're leaving motorsport, we're going to give him a bit of a break," he's going to crop back up in the most unusual situations, probably in Xfinity as well. That's where all Cup drivers end up anyway at some point during the season.
Well, I will say I did hear on the Dale Jr. download, the Ask Jr. segment, of course, that news broke right before Dale Jr. went live on his channel. He says Jimmie has an open offer to run an Xfinity race next year. Of course, Dale Jr. himself does one of those every year. And I think that's a little bit different when it's a retired driver, coming back, not a full-time Cup competitor. So, it would kind of be cool to see Jimmie. Of course, he's only won 1 Xfinity race in his career. It's kind of hard to believe with how dominant he was in the Cup Series. But he never really did much of the bushwhacking, as they called it back in the day. Drivers racing in Cup, doing both Cup and Xfinity. Casey, I'll pass the same question over to you. And then to follow up on what Josh was mentioning, do you think Oval's only schedule might be in the cards for Jimmie? Would he just do the Indy 500 and try to hit some other big races? What do you think his schedule might look like in 2023?
Yeah, obviously one of the biggest interviews that I've ever done. One of the first interviews I ever did was with Jimmie Johnson. Probably one of the nicest human beings you will ever meet, ever. Interacting with him and interacting with, you have to surround yourself with good people, and Jimmie has done that. Obviously, a big shout out to my friend, my mentor, one of my mentors, I should say, Amy Stock, of course, his longtime PR rep. Jimmie's still going to be around. I think he will still do the ovals. I think he will still do the IMSA stuff. Obviously he's got brands like Carvana and Ally will be with him. So we'll see Jimmie. I would also think he would do the 24 Hours of Le Mans in the Garage 56 entry. I don't know if NASCAR's in the cards. who knows? NASCAR's got to fix a few things, but we'll go from. That's another discussion for another day.
Yeah, well, I think, doing the Daytona 500 would be difficult as an open car. And of course, it's not like back in the day where Hendrick could just field another car for him because, of course, they've got their full-time 4 chartered entries already. So there might have to be maybe a Project 91 avenue if Jimmie were to come back and do the Daytona 500, although it's been hinted that Elio Castroneves might be in the running for a Daytona 500 seat. That might be the direction that he goes. So there's still a lot of things to fall into place here. We'll see what Jimmie ends up doing in 2023. As for me, I'd echo everything all of you guys said. An absolute legend of a sport, a 7-time Cup champion, 83-time Cup winner, and that only scratches the surface of the legacy that he's left on and off the track. It's unfortunate that he made the move to IndyCar in an era where the schedule is heavily dominated by road and street courses, because I think if he had been in the IRL, say around 2007, 2008, right before reunification when the schedule was predominantly ovals, we certainly could have seen Jimmie running up front. And of course, if he had stayed on the IndyCar path all the way, I think, he might have even been able to pick up the road and street courses over the years as well. So fantastic career. And I'm glad we'll still be able to see him at some point in 2023. But I'm also glad at his age that he's stepping away from full-time competition to be with his family more. I think we can all commend him for that. Well, on that note, Josh, I want to give you another opportunity to give your Moto2 and Moto3 recap, and then we'll let you go because I know it's obviously just after midnight over there, very early morning for you as always, but we appreciate having you on the Encore show. So go ahead and tell us what happened in Moto2 and Moto3 this weekend.
No worries, and I'm having to put my glasses on because my eyes have dried out because I'm still recovering from a very broken sleep schedule thanks to Japan, and we've got more to come this weekend. So this is the second race of the triple header, and it's the first race over as well in the Asia side in 2019 for this traditional leg of the season where we go to Japan, Thailand, Malaysia and Australia as well. So Moto3, Moto2 made the trip over there with MotoGP as well. We'll start off with Moto3 because that was the first one to go out as well. Izan Guevara as well, who came in as the championship leader, started 9th on the grid. By lap 4, had the lead. There was really nothing we could do. So Guevara on the gas bike took the lead. He had challenged though. Foggia, Sasaki and Garcia were fighting with him throughout. It was a 4-way fight as well. Sasaki started this race on pole position, led the field down towards the first corner as well, but he ran wide as well and gave the spot actually to Sergio Garcia. Suzuki then repassed him down at turn 3, but Guevara as well, after crashing in the warm session, he was riding with a very bent suspension and bent bike. So the bike was crabbing quite a lot throughout the race. So that's why when he was doing wheelies coming down the downhill straight towards the 90-degree corner at turn 11, the bike was squiggling towards the right as well. There's nothing you can do. By the end of that one, it was Guevara who was just behind Garcia, Suzuki and Sasaki, and then Guevara made the move and actually forced his teammate wide a little bit as well. As I said, lap 4, Sasaki was leading again. Good run off of the V corner to pass Guevara for the lead. But then Garcia went wide as well and hit Masia. Masia went off on the inside and Masia dropped back. So his day was done. He was down into about 20th position off the top of my head as well. But then throughout the thing, it was an entire battle as well. As I said, between Guevara, Foggia, Sasaki and Garcia as well. David Munoz and Diego Monreal as well and John McPhee were in the hunt to begin with, but then they split away. We had a battle for the top 4 positions as well. Then a 3-second gap and the rest of the field all piled in together as well. So it very much was a race of 2 halves as well. Ideally, it was all done on the last couple of laps as well. It was a 20 lap race and it was all sorted by lap 18 when Foggia cut the gap down to Guevara, went for a little move on the inside line, wasn't done as well, and from that moment on Foggia just settled in for second place as well. Why did Suzuki DNF as well, you ask as well? Looking at that, I've got something on Suzuki coming up shortly as well, from where he was in the Moto2 field. Suzuki retired from the race, I was being told as well, due to the crash, although I can't remember him actually disappearing from the race. So that's my fault there. Suzuki in the Moto2 or Moto3 races as well. I can't actually remember what happened to him. So much happened in the Moto2 race. It was a race where you couldn't work out. We'll see if I get to it in my notes I made yesterday evening as well. But in the Moto3 race as well, the top 10 standing with Guevara, Foggia, Sasaki, Garcia, Munoz, Monrella, McPhee, Yakanama, Minio, and Rossi as well. We were so close to having a Japanese winner in the Moto3 with Sasaki as well. If he'd have taken that victory, he would have been the first rider in any class to win the Japanese Grand Prix on home soil since 2007. So cut to Moto2 when Ayagura managed to take a victory as well and become the first Japanese driver since 2007 to win on home soil as well. And he's closed the gap up in the front of the championship now in Moto2 to 2 points. So in Moto3, we've got Guevara leading the way to Garcia by around about 38 points. Moto2 is the one to watch as well. It's so close between them as well. Ayagura becoming the first one as well to win since Ionama as well, back in 2007 as well. 22 laps was the distance from Moto2. And it was Feminine Ayagura who made a good start as well from the second row. Took the lead as they came in towards turn 1 and turns 2. 13th on the grid from 2 positions back from Fernandez as well. That was Ayagura making rapid progress as well. He passed Cami Bob on the inside line. Yes, Ayagura wins at home in Motegi. I was shouting that mad at 5 a.m. in the morning as well. So my neighbours were angry with me, I believe. But yeah, great move as well on the opening laps as well. Alonso Lopez as well. You might see him dropping down to 3rd position. He was a surprise to me. Now, Moto2, we had the top 3 once again battling together. And then we had a battle for 4th to 8th, and then everyone further down was separated again. So it was a 3 race thing to cover, but it was a constant battle. But Lopez was fantastic. He was battling up there as well with Fernandez and Ayagura. Then Ayagura began to check out the later the race got. But Lopez, who led the race at one point as well, he was just unstoppable. He's such a young rider, Alonso Lopez, as well, and it's his 5th race in the championship, and he's going places for sure. He's a MotoGP world champion in the future as well. Fernandez had a interesting race as well into P2. That keeps his title hopes alive as well going into it. But 1.5 seconds as they crossed the line as Agura began to check out. We knew it was all done. Jay Dixon in 4th position as well, benefiting as well. Chantra had a big high seat moment coming out of turn 12, but did stay in as well. But Aaron Canet was the one that we all said, oh, well, that's his championship done. He was the outside shot anyway. He was 4th in the standings. Canet crashed out as well. 2 crashes. First one was down at turn 1, and the second was at turn 5. And nobody can work out how he crashed at turn 1. Nobody remembers that. And then we all saw the turn 5 accident. Just turned in, front tyres were cold, and lost the front end as well. So the top 10 there was Ayagura, Fernandez, Lopez, Dixon, Chantra. So back in the top 5, Chantra for the first time as well since winning in Indonesia. So great job there on the Honda Team Asia bike. Tony Albarino 6th, Acosta 7th. So after winning last time out, having a great race here again, keeping in the points. Alvaro Arenas, Bo Benchine, and Philip Salak in the top 10 as well. And if you look who ran out the points, Alonso Dalla Porta in 15th was the last point scorer there as well. And something I couldn't tell you yesterday as well on the wrap-up for MotoGP was the reason for the failures as well for the bike on the 2 Suzuki bikes as well. Now, Alex Rins had a puncture on the front tyre. It was a slow puncture because the metal wheel hub itself was bent. So it created a puncture. So that's why he was dropping in and out of the field. And the bike for Soda as well, an oil line ruptured, and that set fire to the bike, and it just went boom. But very lucky that the front brakes didn't lock, and he went for a high side moment. So he just coasted quite calmly off the track as well. But that's Birch's Bible for Moto2 and Moto3 from Japan and Thailand next time out as well in 7 days' time.
We appreciate that, Josh, and I'll get caught up on the chat here. We have a couple of comments from our own Adam Lemeries, who really likes Casey's shirt on the super license. I know Casey's backstage at the moment, but we'll get his reaction to that in a second. Also echoing what we all said, Jimmie had an outstanding career. Absolutely, 110% agree with that one. Josh, before we let you go, what is your one shining moment from the weekend in motorsports, particularly in the feeder series, or anything else you want to talk about?
Well, My one shining moment, I would say, would be Ayagura's home win for the junior series, and that's something that Japan have been waiting a long time for. We haven't raced there since 2019, so that was always nice to see as well. And in terms of my one shining moment, it'd have to be the mess of the NASCAR. To be fair, that was an embarrassment to be watching as well. I went on USON actually for a couple of moments and said how it was embarrassing. It should have been a red flag situation. We should just end it here and now because so many people are having punctures. So yeah, that wasn't my best experience in NASCAR as well. And I'm just before I leave, desperately trying to work out what did happen to Suzuki as well in the race yesterday, because I know he had pole position in the Moto3 class, and I can't work out what happened to him as well as he comes through. We know he ran wide at turn 1 as well, and then got it back at turn 3. But I've not actually got in my notes what happened to him. So I'm just trying to double check, because I know he dropped down at the rest of the field as well. But I can't actually work out what happened to him. I think he had an accident at some point in the track. Seem to remember him. We had a 3-bike pile-up, and I was shouting, "This is going to be a red flag." I think Suzuki was involved in that. Yes, he was. I'm just remembering correctly now, because it all blurs into one when you're commentating that much. I couldn't remember if it was practice or not. But yeah, Suzuki did crash out at the V corner at turn 10. And he retired. So the pole sitter did crash out. So he was caught up in an accident with Masia as well. So that's what I referenced to as well. So that's how much to Suzuki, and that's how much my brain can remember before completely crashing.
Well, Josh, we appreciate your coverage, and I want to say congratulations on your MotoGP stream from Japan.
Oh, thank you.
I think I saw you had close to over 11,000 viewers tuning in at some point. So, tremendous result for you there, and keep up the good work. I know it sometimes messes with your sleep schedule, but we appreciate all your contributions to Encore as always, and we'll look forward to more of those in the coming months here as we round out the season.
Thank you very much. You're very kind. And it was 11,000 viewers, and did very much warm my heart, and made me and Megan feel motivated to wake up early and cover that race. And got 4 races to go: Thailand, Australia, Malaysia, and Valencia. And hoping to keep the coverage as good as people are enjoying it. So thanks for that, guys, and have a great rest of the show, because I know you've got a lot of juicy things to get through as well. So good night to you all from me.
All right.
Thank you, Josh. We've got Brandon and Casey back with us now, and we're going to talk a little bit of news in the IndyLights series, and want to just recap real quick what's going on. It affects the prize funding for the series, and particularly the champion Linus Lundqvist. Now, according to a Twitter thread from IndyStar's Nathan Brown, 2022 Lights champion Lundqvist received a $500,000 check from Penske Entertainment Corp, well short of the $1.2 million that Kyle Kirkwood received a year ago from Anderson Promotions and PEC pooled together. Now, the reason for the restructuring was to allow for larger race purses, which in theory would lead to a chance at an increase in car counts throughout the season. And the good news is that next season's Lights field is expected to come out at about 19 full-time entries, which is the most in well over a decade here. But the bad news remains that Lundqvist is no longer guaranteed a ride for 3 2023 IndyCar Series races, including the 23 Indianapolis 500, due to the lack of prize funding he's receiving relative to previous champions in previous years. When all is said and done, the 2022 Indy Pro 2000 champion Louis Foster was actually awarded less prize money than Lundqvist. So, Casey, I want to get your perspective on this. Do you have a problem with what's happened to the prize funding in Indy Lights?
No, I don't, because it's how it was explained to me was that it's going to increase as time goes on. You lose your guaranteed races, but by that time, teams are already looking at you and saying, maybe this guy can be pretty good. We've always seen the defending Indy Lights champion go to IndyCar and get a full-time ride. You saw it with Kirkwood, Oliver Askew, and all that, and so far so down the road. But I think it's going to be good for the series. Obviously, obviously IndyCar's taken back control of promotion of Indy Lights. Obviously, Anderson Promotions was promoting it. Of course, Dan Anderson and his team, they promote Indy Pro 2000, USF 2000, and the new USF Junior Series. So there is that. So, I mean, I don't really have a problem with it. It's I think it's just going to grow I think it'll be as time goes on. It's a well invested thing in IndyLights. That doesn't mean if the Freedom 100 is coming back, but I don't know. That's a whole nother discussion for another day.
Well, of course, I think Brandon will certainly agree with that we would love to see the Freedom 100 come back to IndyLights, although I don't think that that's in the cards in the immediate future. At least we can still remain hopeful that one day that race will return. But I do see both sides of it. I do understand that, from a business perspective, it does look better to be putting on 19-car races than it does 14-car races than it does 8 or 9-car races, which I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's as low as it got, over the last several years here. So it's great to see that the field size has more than doubled from its lowest point. But at the same time, you would hope that your champion could at the very least be on the Indianapolis 500 grid for 2023, or at least be in a car and attempt to qualify for that race. So hoping for the best for Linus Lundqvist, because he certainly proved his talents this season, just as Kyle Kirkwood did before him. And hopefully he can get a similar opportunity going forward. We'll just have to wait and see. And of course, there is a promise, like you mentioned, Casey, that eventually we'll start to see that prize fund climb back up. And hopefully this won't be an issue long-term in the future.
By the way, no news in the Indy world of the ladder system, although some USF 2000 news broke this week. The team will be bringing back Jacob Douglas for its exclusive Autosport. Will be bringing back Jacob Douglas for its USF 2000 program. Can I interrupt with a bit of ARCA news a little bit?
Sure. Do you have some breaking news or something?
No, I just I wanted to say it. We haven't been on here since I broke it.
Sure. Go ahead.
Mark Crystal broke it from Front Stretch. Greg Van Elst will be returning to the 30 car next year. He'll be running the 2023 ARCA Menard Series season. Lots of stuff coming from there. Obviously, I'll have coverage from Toledo. And, it'll be fun. We'll obviously discuss more of that next week when we talk about Salem.
Yeah, well, we're certainly looking forward to that and looking forward to your on-track in-person coverage as well. It's certainly going to be a big help for the Encore show in particular here at Grid, so we appreciate that. And appreciate the update on Greg Van Elst. It's very good to hear that he'll be back next season as well. Yep. Now on to something that we don't get a chance to talk about too often, but we have a bit of a lighter week in terms of our schedules, and there was some big news in the NASCAR Weekly Series on a couple of fronts. We'll start with Lane Riggs, the son of Scott Riggs. He beat out defending champion Peyton Sellers this weekend to win the Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series National Championship by just 4 points. Riggs sets the record for the youngest Weekly Series champion at the age of only 20 years old. Sellers was 21 when he won it in 2005. Riggs also claimed the Southeast region title as well as the track championship at South Boston Speedway. He's also made 2 Camping World Truck Series starts this year in the number 62 truck for Halmar Friesen Racing, and he placed 7th on his debut at IRP. So Brandon, I'll go to you first. Do you think Riggs should be considered for a full-time truck seat, especially considering Halmar Friesen are maybe looking at taking that 62 truck full-time in 2023?
Yeah, if you want to take that one full-time, I think Riggs is your guy. I'm really interested in this young man, especially with his result at IRP, and just also another grassroots kind of racer making their way to the truck series. I really like to see that. I think the name eludes me. Xfinity Series, Josh Berry. There we go. It was I noted when we saw some success from Josh Berry at the beginning of how this might open the door for some more opportunities from the late model community, and this might be a part of it. Although he is racing royalty, as it were, for being Scott Riggs' son, but nonetheless, he's put a lot of hard work into this, it seems, and a good result at IRP. It'll be great to see Milwaukee on the schedule in the truck series, and if Riggs can get that seat with Halmar Friesen Racing, that'll add just another track to the calendar that he might have some success with. Yes, Lane Riggs full-time in the truck series, Adam, that would be something nice to see, and might open the door for a Scott Riggs throwback.
Oh, hi. Yes, obviously I've talked with Lane Riggs, actually working on possible interview with him. Stay tuned on that. Yeah, Lane Riggs has been on the show before. Obviously, I've been following him a little bit. Lane's always kind of struggled with, the sponsorship side of things. I know that he's kind of getting his people together and kind of working on from that realm of things. But he's talented. He's he's a good kid. He's a humble kid, just like his dad. He's going to school, doing all that fun stuff. But yeah, he's always looking for opportunities to get in to the NASCAR world. And if you're that good, someone will give you a shot. They'll find a way to get the money, and it always seems to work out that way.
And he may have seen his record broken, but it wasn't all bad news for Peyton Sellers this week, as he took the win in Martinsville's Valleystar Credit Union 300, doing so in his 15th attempt in the race. This race is the most prestigious NASCAR late model stock car race in the nation. It frequently draws mainstream attention due to its history and its lineup of competitors. You frequently see some stars from NASCAR's top 3 series step back into this race, and other notables in the field included the North Wilkesboro winner from a few weeks ago, Carson Quapple. He finished in second. Truck Series part-timers Caden Honeycutt and Corey Heim were 5th and 9th, respectively. And how about Truck Series veteran Timothy Peters making what is expected to be his final start of his racing career, coming home in 8th place? As we take a look at the back half of the field here, you'll see some names you might recognize as well. The defending race winner and part-time ARCA driver this year, Landon Pembleton, finished 27th. Ty Majeski had a rough night, finishing 37th. And in last place was last year's Talladega Truck Series winner, Tate Fogelman. Now, to transition to the NASCAR Xfinity Series, Noah Gragson is absolutely on top of the world. The junior motorsports driver took his 4th straight series win, something that hasn't been done since Sam Arr did it in 1983. Of course, an Xfinity Series legend right there. Gragson beat out Austin Hill, Ty Gibbs, AJ Allmendinger, Riley Herbst, and the rest of the field, as you see on your screen there, for his 7th race win of this season. Now, looking ahead to Talladega, Gragson won there earlier this year. He also finished 3rd at Daytona at the season opener and led the most laps at Daytona last month before he crashed out. So, Brandon, we'll go to you first on this one. Can anybody stop Gragson from taking 5 in a row this coming weekend?
It's very likely that Gragson will capture number 5. Also, I mean, it's also Talladega, but you put junior motorsports and Talladega together, it's just peanut butter jelly all the way. Junior motorsports is going to be stacked. Also, colleague racing as well as is good with the super speedway things. It'll be interesting to see where he'll end up there at the end. You got to stay out of trouble. He knows that, but it's really cool to see 4 in a row in the Busch Nationwide Xfinity Series. We've made it through the ways. 1983, Sam Ard. It's really cool to see history like that, even if it comes from a letdown place like Texas Motor Speedway. But we'll take history where we can get it, and it's going to be interesting to see if Gragson can do the never been done before.
Yeah, Noah Gragson's pretty good. I do think, Talladega is the unpredictable of unpredictability. Ben likes that. Honestly, yes. Yeah. Honestly, I think that there's going to be, it's like a game of Russian roulette kind of thing. But remember, Noah Gragson won there in April, so it can be done. You just got to have the cards fall where they may. And the cards have been falling right for not just Noah Gragson, but for junior motorsports as a whole. It is, remember when everybody thought in the beginning of the season that Ty Gibbs would do something like this? He'd just win like 4 or 5 races in a row. And then Noah Gragson just won. Yes. Yeah.
Ben and I included. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you'd asked me at the start of the season based on performance, I think Ty Gibbs was our early season championship favorite, but we'll do a follow-up question here again from our own Adam Lemeries. Would you say Noah Gragson is an early favorite to win the Xfinity Series championship? I believe we discussed this a little bit on last week's show, actually, but I don't see why much has changed in 1 week. But Casey, we'll go to you here. It would seem to me like we would only further solidify our feelings on that, seeing how Gragson's been running recently. But is he your definitive championship favorite at this point?
Yeah, it's there's really it's Noah Gragson and everybody else. It's Noah Gragson's world, and we're all just living in it, I guess. That 9 team is rolling. He and Luke Lambert have really, really connected. And how about Luke Lambert going from I'll spend all those years in the Cup Series, back in the Xfinity Series. He was back when he was in the Nationwide Series. He had some good starts, but now it looks like he's primed to win a championship. I think he can get by. The thing is, it's like, even though this format is this format, and obviously we all know what we all think about it, but usually sometimes the most consistent guys, the top guys in the points, always seem to be up front when it counts.
Brandon, are you taking Gragson or are you taking the field?
I'm taking Josh Berry. I'm still saying Josh Berry for the championship. I say it's going to be weird, and he's going to just capture it out of nowhere. But on another note, Noah Gragson is doing a lot for the company of Waffle House. Every win has just been lining up the bill there on Junior Motorsports.
I got to go to. I'm going to go to Waffle House when I'm in Toledo next week, so that'll be something. There's no Waffle Houses here in Michigan, which is a crime.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I know. You enjoy you're enjoying it a lot though, Brandon.
We got Waffle House, Bojangles, all the regional favorites.
Oh, geez, I have some friends that love Bojangles. But yeah, Noah Gragson will continue. If there's a Waffle House, Noah Gragson will find it.
Yes, he will.
I don't know if we have a Waffle House in Delaware. I know we have one just over the border in Maryland, so it's certainly within reach for me. But I must admit, I haven't been to Waffle House too many times. I might have to hit one up, especially if Gragson goes on to win this championship here. But we'll just have to wait and see. Brandon, like you mentioned, Josh Berry, somebody could sneak in here. Tyler Reddick certainly did that a few years ago. And then, of course, he doubled down by winning it in a much more dominating season the next year. But all it takes is getting to the championship 4, and then all bets are off with this format. So we'll have to see. Gragson certainly still has to close the deal when it comes time to do so at Phoenix later this November. Now, speaking of the playoffs, several drivers ran into adversity during the race. 4 of them failed to finish. Justin Allgaier currently remains above the cut line, though Daniel Hemrick, Brandon Jones, and Jeremy Clements do not. So, Casey, which playoff driver should be the most concerned as we head into Talladega?
All of them except Noah Gragson, because it's Talladega and anything can and will happen.
Yep. Is that it?
Yes.
Okay, that's it. Yeah, my same sentiments. If you're looking at power, though, you would say, well, obviously Jeremy Clements is the one that needs to be scared, 29 points below the cut line. But yeah, it's Talladega. You can get pushed or be pushed by anybody. And you just have to have the actual attrition, not Goodyear tire attrition or spring attrition. I mean, like actual attrition to survive the field and make it there to the end. And well, I say Noah Gragson can do it, but also Austin Hill has shown some strength there in that kind of racing, and any of the Kaulig cars, just it's all hands on deck. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, certainly a lot to look forward to. And Casey, like you're mentioning, the complete land of unpredictability. I think like we said, Gragson's probably the only one that's completely safe because you never quite know what's going to happen.
Also, Ty Majeski is also safe heading into Talladega too.
That's right, of course. Yep.
Don't forget, shameless plug here. Talked to Ty Majeski last week and Grant Enfinger last week. So fun stuff there. And plus, we'll get to the other big story that I have today.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that right now. Actually, I want to follow up one driver that's not in this year's playoffs, but of course made headlines last year at Talladega by winning that race was Brandon Brown. Now, Brown has had an eventful 12 months, to say the least, dealing with the Let's Go Brandon controversy off the track while also struggling with sponsorship, largely as a result of that, including the debacle with the LGB coin cryptocurrency. Now, Brown confirmed in an interview today with our own Casey Campbell that he will not be returning to Brandon-Built Motorsports in 2023. Not only that, but this will be his final race with the team.
My number one goal is to win again. I mean, there's not really that much riding on the line in terms of this season. Just kind of give the 68 one last hurrah for me.
You kind of mentioned it. This is the last time that you will be in the 68 this season, and this is also it for you. You aren't returning to this team next year, are you?
No.
Well, there you have it, straight from Brandon Brown himself. Casey, what's your reaction to the news that Brown will be out of a ride going into next season?
Well, first off, I want to thank Brandon for coming on and talking with me about that. Want to also thank Morgan Stone, of course, who does a lot of PR and also is Brandon Brown's girlfriend. So she was a major help in putting this together. So thank you so much to both of them. And also is the PR person for Brandon Vanderbilt Motorsports, and as well as Brandon Brown. Yeah, I kind of saw this coming. I know from talking with them and all that, and it's not surprising. I think a lot of people are going to. I didn't really dive into all the things that have been going on. I think there's you're going to learn a lot about what's been going on with Brandon Brown this week. I know there's going to be some pieces coming out, but I'm not surprised. It's been a tough few months for him. He just wants to go to a championship-winning organization. He wants to win. He wants to be competitive. Racing is all he knows. I mean, it's tough. He's not just leaving a team that he's been with. He's also, it's even tougher when you have conflicts with the team, but it's also even tougher when those conflicts happen to also be your family, and one of the team owners happens to also be your dad. So there's always that landscape, but it's been a tough road for him. I just think he wants out. Might as well break this news as well. I did confirm also that he'll be with BJ McLeod for the rest of the season. There could be a race where he's with another team. I don't want to divulge that information right now, but he'll be with BJ for the rest of the season, heading into the Roval next week. So it's a kind of a swan song for the 68 team. Obviously, Chris Wright will be in the car for the rest of the year. As for Vanderbilt Motorsports, I do know that they will be full-time in 2023, but I will let the team divulge those plans.
Well, of course, he's already made some starts for BJ, Mike Harmon, and I believe he even did one race for our Motorsports, if I'm not mistaken there. So he has been able to maintain a full-time presence in the series, albeit not with the 68 team. Brandon, what's your reaction hearing this news? And I know we've talked about this in the past as well. It's very unfortunate that what should have been the greatest day of Brandon Brown's career kind of launched this moment that 12 months later he's out of a ride.
It's unbelievable, Ben. We're and thank you, Casey, for gathering that news as well, also for the BJ McLeod bit as well. But it's just heartbreaking to see the acts of this tragedy unfold. It's kind of like seeing a Shakespearean play of sorts. Like we start with the highest of highs, gets the victory there, but not being in victory lane. Just the circumstances, just making a perfect storm, and having the crowd be as they were, and Brandon Brown, of course, having no control over it, and so it just started this long cycle of, and then we get to the LG Bitcoin fiasco, and it just piled and piled more mess, and it's hard to see this happen to just a person. I mean, he's not just a driver; it's Brandon Brown. He's a guy. He's got family. And families involved with the organization as well. Certainly, there's a lot I don't know about this, but just really feel for the guy and wish him all the best. Hope he can make a statement here in the rest of the season. And there will be some sort of opportunity awaiting for him somewhere, whether that be Xfinity or trucks or even elsewhere. It's a human piece here when you see the rise and fall, and hopefully there will be a rise again for Brandon Brown. It's hard to listen to.
Yeah.
Well, I can say I think I speak on behalf of a lot of race fans, certainly on Twitter. I know his opinion won't be too unpopular. Regardless of how you feel about politics or the Biden administration or the sanitized version of the chant, which became "Let's Go Brandon," life could have been so much more simple for Brandon Brown if the interview had taken place in victory lane. And I think that, I hate to get on the soapbox here, but I think it's very unfortunate, because I think if that moment was not the moment where NASCAR maybe took a look and said, maybe we should just go back to what worked very well for decades and just have the interview in victory lane, maybe this wouldn't have happened. We might have still been able to hear the crowd making some noise, but they wouldn't have been right on top of Brandon Brown and Kelly Stavast. And I also want to point out, by the way, as well, if you go back to NBC's press releases that came out this summer, they mentioned that Kelly Stavast will be back with the NBC team in 2022. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't think we've seen her on any NBC broadcast that I can remember.
Kim Kuhn has been in her spot, I believe.
Yeah, and she has done a great job. But at the same time, everybody's talking about how Brandon Brown's career has been turned upside down by this. Kelly Stavast, I think, has taken a lot of heat, undeservedly so, for the role that she played in this. And again, obviously, I'm not Kelly Stavast. I don't know what was going through her mind. I don't know if she genuinely thought the chant was "Let's Go Brandon," or was just trying to bring the attention back to Brandon Brown or what the deal was. But, people came after her way too hard on social media and, said she was, part of this fake news conspiracy, for NBC News and everything. And, that's all just complete political garbage, and there's no place for that. And it's unfortunate that, she's had to take a step back from her NBC Sports role as well, because, it wasn't just NASCAR. I remember seeing her at the Tokyo Olympics, and she really seemed like she was taking a step forward in her career, and that's now come to a halt as well. So it's just a very, very unfortunate situation for everybody involved.
Yeah, and that's not fair to her. And I'm just thinking, I'm sorry, but I'm thinking what other careers could have been destroyed if we had trackside interviews sooner? Think of all the things that have happened over the years where the fans have been in a riot mode or chanting something weird. Imagine Dale Jr., Jeff Gordon, Talladega in 04. Imagine if we had a trackside victory interview with that, and the beer cans were within face range,
Oh, and don't forget, John Hunter Nemechek almost had a beer can thrown at him.
That too.
Yeah. I think they probably would have had to call an audible. You can't ask a Fox Sports reporter to go out in the middle of, raining beer cans and soda bottles or whatever other crap. I think Jeff Gordon said he wasn't sure if they were Pepsi cans or beer cans, trying to, make light of a situation and throw a sponsor plug in there. But, it is unfortunate. And it's also, I went back and forth, with a couple of people on this after the John Hunter Nemechek thing happened. And, some people were mentioning, if that's the argument that you're using, then we shouldn't, do pre-race ceremonies trackside, or we shouldn't have the invocation or the national anthem trackside. And I think, it's very different when, of course, I'm not going to guarantee that an idiot's not going to do something at any time, on the main straightaway or whatever. But I think it's a lot more likely when the race has happened in the past and these fans have reacted to it and they may or may not be happy with the outcome. I think they're a lot more likely to be angry after the race and do something stupid after the race than before the race. And so
you're setting yourself up for controversy.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of that on the tweet I put out today kind of exploded with the Brandon Brown news. And most of the comments, I was actually talking with his PR team, and most of the comments I saw were pretty positive. Obviously there was, obviously you're going to get some not so ones, and the mute button and the block button. I love the block button. It's just, obviously you're going to get people that like it. Obviously, but most people know it's just, it's not his fault, and it's not Kelly Stavis' fault either. So I don't think she'll be on. I'm not sure. I know it was on the initial press release, but obviously things can change, and we'll have to see what happens there. Although Parker Kligerman did confirm that he'll be on the broadcast Sunday. So, but exciting stuff for him. Let's change the conversation to something happier a little bit here.
Absolutely.
Sure. Yes.
Parker Kligerman is going to be running the double header at Talladega. So he'll be in the truck for Henderson Motorsports, and then he'll be in the 48 for Big Machine Racing.
That's awesome.
Might be trying to talk with him tomorrow. So my friends at Big Machine are helping me out on that one. So
he's got a real shot.
Yeah, Blaine Perkins will be in the 02 again for Our Motorsports. So obviously Blaine had a good run at Talladega last year, if you remember, in last year's race. And also Mike Harmon's back too in the 47 in Xfinity. Lots of interesting truck entries. Jordan Anderson's back. Jennifer Jo Cobb is back. Corey Roper is back as well. Wow. So Clay Greenfield is also back. So yeah, going to be a lot of interesting entries. The 37 truck, AM Racing has entered it. 41 trucks this weekend for Talladega. 41 Xfinity cars as well. Salem is also coming up this weekend in ARCA, and then ARCA West with Roseville. So lots of busy stuff happening. And of course, I'll be in Toledo for the ARCA Championship. Got a big day. Their drivers are going to be everywhere. So they're going to be at the championship, 3 at this big fancy hotel in downtown Toledo. So I'm excited about that. And then they're doing some other promotional stuff, I think at one of the high schools around there. So it'll be fun. Excited to bring the coverage to, of course, my channel, and of course, some of the interviews right here on Grid. So it'll be fun stuff. So proud to represent the channel and you guys as well. So it'll be fun.
good stuff.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. And can I just say, great to see Jennifer Jo Cobb back. I know she's really scaled back her schedule this year and has even dealt with some health issues away from the track. So great to see her back. Hopefully she can make the race. And I do want to point out, I think she got a lot of criticism after last year's race for the role that she played in the wreck, not getting slowed down in time. You only have to go back 1 year earlier.
Yeah.
I know it was off sequence on strategy, but she was, I think, only 3 laps away from becoming the first woman to lead the most laps in top 3 series in NASCAR. So she has had some strong runs in super speedways in the past. Of course, she finished 6th at Daytona in 2011. And I will still stand by that she should have been allowed to make her Cup Series debut last year for Rick Ware Racing. I know a lot of people thought the decision was justified after the fall race at Talladega in the Truck Series, but hopefully she can go out and prove some of the doubters wrong and have a solid run for her team in her return to the track.
By the way, another big impact for Talladega this week. There's this thing named Ian. It's going to really ravage the South. Of course, I'm talking about Hurricane Ian. It's going to really affect weather-wise. Not sure what they might do. Obviously, NASCAR is aware of this and they're watching this. Talladega is aware of this as well. So obviously, that's going to be a tough thing for obviously for racing-wise, but more tougher for all the people down in Florida in that weather, because it's they're going to be coming. Hurricane Ian's coming this weekend, so it'll be a tough break for all those guys down in everyone down in Florida right now.
Yeah, certainly our best thoughts with everybody in Ian's path, and hopefully the damage is minor and it doesn't impact certainly not what's happening Talladega this weekend. But of course, we don't want to see any catastrophe happen anywhere. So certainly our thoughts and prayers are with everybody in the projected path of the storm, and hopefully it's not as bad as some people might be fearing. Now, to end the show, Brandon, we'll go over to you first. What is your one shining moment from this weekend in motorsports?
I did not take time to think about it again. Well, that's
we can go to Casey first if you want to.
Yeah, sure. If Casey's ready to go.
Casey, go ahead.
I am going to give it to Noah Gragson. 4 wins in a row. Mr. September. Wait, that's Harry Gann. Well, he's Mr. Xfinity September or something. We'll always remember that run that he had and those many trips to Waffle House in there. And Junior Motorsports is just firing off on all cylinders this year with Noah, with Josh, Justin Allgaier. Sam Mayer had a solid run after all the things that he went through in the Texas race. I think he should get in one shining moment too. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. How about CJ McLaughlin as well? Top 10 for RSS Racing, and then Justin Haley getting a top 5 in the Cup Series.
Well, I guess I'll give my one shining moment to Martinsville Speedway for putting on a good Valleystar 300. That was a lot of fun to watch the heat races and everything, and put on some entertaining punches here and there in the heat race. But other than that, it was a fun event to see, and glad that it got the attention that it deserves. And hopefully we'll see more of those throughout the coming years. Super late model events get some more attention.
And I'll stick down on that scene. I guess I'll give my one shining moment to a couple of drivers we talked about earlier in the show. Lane Riggs and Peyton Sellers, kind of at opposite ends of their careers, but for Peyton in particular, a great victory for him. And, proof that, if you look at his NASCAR top 3 series resume, it may not look all that impressive, but the work that he has done in the weekly series and, the success that he has had there speaks for itself. And it's proof that, maybe sometimes people should look a little bit deeper into a driver's resume and judge them based off of the success that they have elsewhere, because not everybody gets that big break in the National Touring Series for NASCAR, but that doesn't mean that they can't have a great racing career for themselves elsewhere. And also for Lane Riggs, a great young driver. I hope that he gets a full-time opportunity in trucks next year. He certainly deserves it. His 2 truck starts that he did, rather, the one in particular at IRP, is certainly proof that he is ready for that opportunity should it come about. And hopefully we'll get to see him at some point in 2023, preferably on a full-time basis, because I think he certainly proven that he deserves that. And that is going to be it for our show tonight. And I want to thank everybody for watching, and follow us on all of our social media platforms here: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We're streaming this on YouTube, of course, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter as well. So wherever you're watching, thank you so much. If you really liked what you saw tonight, you can take 5 minutes after our show to invest in our Patreon. Help keep Grid Network on the air throughout 2022. Your support is what allows us to travel to these races. It allows Joe to go out to Portland. It allows Casey to go out to Toledo, and all sorts of stuff. And we want to continue to grow and expand our on-site coverage going into 2023. And as always, a thank you to Colin, Deshelle, Mark, and Robin. We greatly appreciate your support. It means the world to us, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for that. If you would rather make just a one-time donation, you can buy me a coffee. You can buy a coffee for your favorite on-air talent here at Grid Network. Any amount will help us continue to grow our motorsports media outlet. Finally, visit our sponsor, public.com, the stock market social media home. The referral code GridNet in the link below and on screen there gives you $5 to invest. Public.com allows you to connect with your friends, make new friends, and use tools to learn how to invest in the stock market. Now on Wednesday, Kobe Lambeth will bring you Grid Tonight. Friday, Joe Samaniego has the Women in Motorsports program with Daniel Zeri. And of course, you can stay tuned for more Grid Live coverage all throughout next weekend. Gentlemen, any final thoughts before we sign off for this evening?
I got one. More news. Parker Retzlaff will be in the 20 truck for Young's Motorsports this weekend. How about that?
Good to see him back. Brandon,
First truck start, by the way.
Sorry, what was that, Casey?
What's that?
First truck start, by the way.
ahead,
All I can say is Talladega and wild card. So here we go.
Talladega. I love Talladega.
The
Brian,
ultimate,
Talladega Boulevard.
Yes.
Go visit that place.
the ultimate
Or
wild card.
don't go visit that place. It's
Yeah,
not
the
for
ultimate-
children.
Yeah, the ultimate wild card indeed, as if the playoffs haven't been enough of a wild card already, but certainly a lot to look forward to. Hopefully this weekend. Of course, we're keeping our thoughts with everybody in Pass of the Storm, but hopefully we'll get to see some racing this weekend, and they'll put on a good show for us. For Joshua Burch, for Casey Campbell, for Brandon Crossland, I'm Ben Schneider. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, have a wonderful rest of your week. We'll see you next time right here on Grid Network.
Don't be an anonymous investor. Join the stock market social media platform, public.com. Invest any amount of money and share with friends and new friends. Discover new opportunities, such as new companies and potential business partners, and useful tools for beginners, and share your experience with friends on public.com. Link in the video description gets you $5 for being a Grid Network viewer. Use the referral code GridNet for your free $5 to invest and start investing and networking on public.com.